प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, फिर से ऑनलाइन क्लास में आपका स्वागत है। बीए पार्ट फर्स्ट के पेपर फर्स्ट में आपके सिलेबस में लिटरेरी टर्म है personification. Today we will talk about this literary term personification. First, we will talk about what is personification. So, personification is a very popular literary term. This is popular in Greek as prospoia. It is a figure of speech in which inanimate objects or abstract ideas are bestowed with human attributes. So, personification is when human characteristics are attributed to an inanimate object. It is used to convey the meaning that an item or thing has performed an action when in reality it has not. This type of figurative language is used as a literary device in order to make a piece of writing more vivid and descriptive. It is also used in order to better assist the reader in understanding the text and can make a piece of writing more original and unique in its nature. So, this is a very popular literary device. It is common figure of speech, popular in literature of all ages, particularly used in abundance by the writers of 18th century. It is often indicated in poetry through capitalization of the first letter. There are likely to be many times in which you will hear or use personification in day-to-day language. It is a very popular form of figure of speech and it is used regularly. We are now going to take a look at some examples of personification in a way that is used in daily speech. First, we will talk about the examples of personification which we use in daily language. First, the book provides the information that we need to understand the language. The car was suffering and needed some attention. So, the car is personified as a human being. The next example, the stars were dancing playfully in the sky. Here the stars are personified as a human being. The tattered house appeared to be distressed. Next one, the red car raced by, screaming for someone to be notice its speed. Next one, the bread jumped out of the toaster. Next one, he was aware that opportunity had come knocking at its door. You are seeing that in all examples, all these examples, all the things, whether the car, whether the bread, whether the red car, whether the stars, whether the house, they are personified as a human being. As you are seeing, the bread jumped out of the toaster as a young child or a young man jumped out. In the same way, the bread jumped out of the toaster. Next example, the popcorn jumped around the microwave. Next one, she did not see that her last chance was about to walk out of the door. Again, here you are seeing that the last chance was personified. Next one, the new record from Elton John flew off the shelves. Flew off, भाग गया. Next one, the wind howled through the forests. Howled, शोर मचा रही है wind. Next one, I fell over because the curb jumped out before me. The news took me by surprise when I heard it. Took me surprised. The news took me surprised. So you are seeing that in all these examples, whether the news, whether the wind, whether the car, whether the new record, or whether the bread, all of these are personified. So this literary term is very common in day-to-day language. Next, now we will talk about the examples, the use of personification in literature. Personification is likely to be seen often used as a literary device. This might be in form of poetry, song, or script. We are now going to take a look at some examples of times in which personification has been used in written language. The first example, in the poem Two Sunflowers Move into the Yellow Room, written by Nancy Willard, we see an example of personification many times. One example of this is the line, "Oh, Will, we are tired of the weather," said the sunflower as they shone the dew. Next example, in William Wordsworth's poem Daffodils, we again see many examples of personification. One of these is in the opening line of I wandered lonely as a cloud. The daffodils are saying that I wandered lonely as a cloud, कि मैं अकेली एक क्लाउड की भांति इस फॉरेस्ट में, इस जंगल में घूम रही थी. Next example, in the Green Gables letter written by Montgomery, we see personification being used in the sentence, the woods are preparing to go to sleep. In another scene from the play Romeo and Juliet, written by William Shakespeare, we see an example of personification in the line, when well-dressed April comes to heal the winter. Some other examples, the poem which is described in your syllabus on his blindness. The poet says, but patience to prevent. In the previous video, we have seen that the poet Milton has blinded and he says that I want to do so many works. I want to do so many works to write poems, but patience to prevent. Patience जो है, धैर्य जो है, वो हमें रोक देता है. Other examples, as you are seeing, William Wordsworth poem, The World is Too Much With Us, the lines are, and are upgathered like sleeping flowers. Next poem, next example, the sea that bears her bosom to the moon. This is the lines from the Wordsworth poem. The world is too much with us. Here the poet says that the seas that bears her bosom to the moon, कि सन जो सी है, समुद्र है, उसने अपना bosom जो है चंद्रमा के सामने खोल दिया है. So these are the common examples of personification in literature or in our day-to-day language. So, by looking deeper into how personification is used and what it is used for, we have to learn that it is a form of figurative language in which inanimate objects are given human traits such as emotions, gestures, desires, speech और मोर. कि इनएनिमेट जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं उनको ह्यूमन इमोशंस दिए जाते हैं, उनको जेस्चर्स दिया जाता है, डिज़ायर्स दी जाती है और स्पीच दे दी जाती है. वहाँ पे इस लिटरेरी टर्म का यूज़ होता है. It is used commonly in everyday language and also used frequently in literature. It is a way of making a description much more unique and vivid and adds beauty to literature. So, this is the personification. So, definition of personification. You are seeing in your screen examples of personification in everyday conversation. Next, personification, how it is used in literature. So, dear students, you have to attempt this personification in your course.